level. This is why. Hey everybody, today we're going to go over a clip from last year in a rehab stint with Justin Verlander, and he talks about essentially why the game has changed so fast, certainly over this last decade, and why all the things we're seeing now, like the crazy amount of injuries to pitchers, all the changes in the rules and all of that in MLB, why that started and what he thinks needs to happen to change this stuff. So we're going to look at that. Remember, guys, if you're a fan of the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like the video, ring the bell for notifications so you know every time a new video pops or we go live on a stream. We talked about this video a little bit yesterday on the stream, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth now for all of you. So I'm going to pull it up right now. Remember, if you want to work with us and get help in the recruiting process, scan that QR code in the top left corner of your screen. Fill out the form and we'll meet with you, talk about what we do, and see if it's a fit. All right. So let's listen in. I'm going to pause this every once in a while to kind of give you my thoughts, but this is a 4.5-minute clip. Let's hear what Justin Verlander has to say with everything that's happened in Major League Baseball and the other levels as well.
What are your thoughts on just the last couple of days? We've seen a bunch of pitchers go down with injuries. There's been blame on both sides. What do you think?
I don't know, man. It's tough. I think the game has changed a lot. I think it'd be easiest to sit here and blame the pitch clock. I think in reality, you put everything together and everything has a little bit of influence. I think the biggest thing is the style of pitching has changed so much. Everybody's throwing as hard as they possibly can and spinning the ball as hard as they possibly can. And, it's hard to deny those results. Obviously, how can you? It's a double-edged sword. How can you tell somebody to go out there and not do that when they're capable of throwing 100? And this young guy comes up and throws a pitch 95 and gives up a big homer, and everybody's like, "What the hell, man?" So something needs to change. I don't have all the answers. I know pitching. And I've been. I don't want to beat a dead horse here. It is what it is. I think the data's out there at this point. But when the balls started to change back in 2016 and they started flying out a bit more frequently, I know myself personally that started changing how I had to approach pitching. You have to start swinging. You have to start approaching the batter as I want swing and miss. I can't have him put the ball in play where the old adage, pitch down, pitch away from the guy, hit your spot, get weak contact early in the count, and then you can kind of go up. And that kind of went out the window when everybody started being able to leave the yard, especially opposite field.
Okay, so this is the biggest point he makes, I think, in the video, is that at some point in the 2016 season, everyone started to recognize, and I can tell you guys this from experience, just from being in AAA at that point. At that point in the year, I was in AAA with Milwaukee. I ended up leading the organization and hitting, had a really good year. And the next year, I was in big league camp with Milwaukee. And you go from hitting BP and game balls in the minor leagues to hitting BP in big league camp with big league balls. It was a totally different game. Right. And that's why you saw so many guys, they'd come up from AAA and they had hit like okay power or a decent amount of home runs. And all of a sudden they're hitting 30 plus in the big leagues because MLB juiced the balls. They didn't tell anybody. And what Verlander's saying is like, listen, you used to be able to attack a lot of guys in a lineup because not every guy could hit 20, 25 plus in the lineup. Now, when anybody can go yard and they can go yard opposite field, right? Even if you pitch them away, right? That's what Verlander's saying is like back in, before they changed the balls, you just pitch a guy away. He may drive a double, but most guys are not going to hit it out opposite field. Well, MLB juices the balls. And now the whole pitching to contact, getting soft contact, pitching away and letting them hit at the opposite field, that went out the window because every guy in the lineup can go yard now and they can go yard opposite field. Right? So this is the biggest point is that the balls were changed without telling anybody. And as a player, you notice this right away. Like when you step on the big league, when you get into big league spring training and you're taking BP and you're seeing the ball fly off everyone's bat, you're like, this is not the same game. This is not even close to the same amount that the ball flew, right? I would taking BP that year in the exhibition game in Milwaukee at the end of spring training, and I'm not kidding. In 3 rounds, I'm hitting like 5 or 6 out around. I'm going out to dead center, deep right center. And it was so much that even Pat Murphy, who's now the manager of the Brewers, he's like, Ran, I didn't know you had it like that. And I literally turned to him. I'm like, I didn't either. Right? The ball doesn't fly like this in the minor leagues. So let's keep watching.
And look, like I said, I'm not here to. I've said my piece on that before in the past, and it is what it is. As long as we're all out here competing on an even playing field, that's what I care about, and we all have the same baseball in our hands, so that's that. But I do think that you throw that in the mix, and you throw analytics in the mix, and you throw the pitch clock in the mix, and it all kind of, adds up. And it's unfortunate. I don't know how we rewind the clock. Maybe there's some sort of way to incentivize starting pitching, going deeper in games. I remember I talked to Scherzer at length last year with the Mets, and we talked about having the starting pitcher be tied to a DH, and having you have to achieve certain milestones before. If the pitcher comes out and he hasn't achieved any of those milestones, you lose your DH. So
here's another important thing, right? I love this idea from Justin Verlander, right? We've taken all the strategy out of Major League Baseball. Right? You used to really need a manager who could manage the game, manage the bullpen in the National League, because you had to make pinch hits for the pitcher in a certain situation. And you were weighing the options of, all right, well, it's the 5th inning and we got bases loaded, 1 out. Do we pinch hit here and hope we get a big hit to take the lead? Or do we leave our pitcher in because he's doing really well? Right? These were decisions that had to be made in most of the games in the National League. And you're worrying about burning up your bench. You're worrying about how many guys you got left on your bench. Which guys can we go to the bullpen now if we're going to take a guy out early, right? So you had to foresee all these circumstances that were happening. And we've taken the DH or the NL, the National League rules out. Now the National League has a DH. So we've taken all this strategy that guys that have played the game and guys that love baseball loved, in order to kind of just add a DH and hopefully guys hit more home runs and fans tune into more games. I love this idea by Verlander. And let's think about this. These are 2 of the best pitchers in the last decade in Major League Baseball, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. And they're having this conversation because they see where the game is headed. They're like, this is not headed in the right direction. We need to make something incentivize teams letting starting pitchers go deep in games. And I love the idea, right? If a starting pitcher doesn't meet certain milestones, whether that's 5 innings or whatever, you lose the DH for the rest of the game, and now you got to use your bench and everything like that. It's almost to the point where as soon as the National League lost the DH, it was like analytics just went 100%, right? Starting pitchers don't go deep. No one throws 200 innings anymore unless they're like an older school guy like a Verlander or Scherzer. None of these young guys are going 200 innings a start. Or 200 innings a year, sorry. And now it's just pure analytics. It's like, oh, 3rd time through the order, we're bringing you out, right? So the two of the best pitchers in the last decade and more in Major League Baseball are saying, like, we got to change this because arms are blowing up like crazy. And he talks even more here about some of that. Let's listen.
At least the team is incentivized to teach their pitchers to go through the lineup 3 times, whereas right now nobody's incentivized to do that. No teams are incentivized to tell their pitcher, okay, let's go through the lineup 3 times. Let's navigate a lineup. Those aren't conversations that are had anymore. Nobody's fault. It's just the nature of the game.
Not conversations that are had anymore.
Switches, and teams start incentivizing, okay, how do we get guys out 3 times? Because right now, 3rd time through the lineup, they're looking for an excuse to take you out. Because analytically, it says that batters have more success 3rd time.
Boom. He's like, now, even if you're doing well, right? Even if you're dominating a lineup, it's 3rd time through the order. Oh, we better be careful. And like he said, it's the analytics says that, and it does. That's fine. But listen, if you're going to save, and I'll give you an example from my dad. My dad, one of the things he was always big on is you don't want to just crush your bullpen in the first half of the season, right? You want your starters going deeper early in the season. Obviously, they have to be built up for that and everything. And that, that didn't seem to be a problem 15, 20 years ago. Now it's, now you can't do that anymore, even though all the protecting of arms and the things that we've done to keep people healthy have completely backfired, right? The trend line of how much we protect arms is like this, and the trend line of how many guys get hurt is like this, right? It's like it matches almost exactly. And so we're doing all these things. People's arms are blowing up. More people on the DL pitchers than ever before. Not even close. I think it's something like there's 200 guys on the DL right now at the start of the year that were on major league rosters. It's something ridiculous like that. So let's keep listening.
I'm through. So I can't sit here and blame anybody. But the second that you start incentivizing pitchers staying in the game longer, throwing 110 pitches, throwing 100 pitches, navigating the lineup, then the trickle down permeates all the way to Little League Baseball. Everybody's trying to get to this level. So, you want to go play D1, now you got to throw hard and you got to spin the ball well. You want to go to the minor leagues, you got to throw hard, spin the ball well. And, it all starts from here down. The second that you start incentivizing pitching and guys are getting drafted because they can pitch and get guys out, then that goes down a level and then down a level and down a level. And, I just hope that we don't wait too long because, it's obviously a pandemic and it's going to take years to work itself out because everybody right now, Little League on, go look no further than Instagram. I can't look at my Instagram feed without seeing, some kids trying to learn how to throw as hard as they can at 10 years old.
Right. He's like, listen, we better figure this out now because it's going to take years to fix it. Because right now, like he says, 100% correct. The incentive is you need to produce swing and miss. You need to have the max velocity you can have right now. You need to have the best spin rate on your slider right now. Well, and he goes into, he'll get into this in a second, but he basically says at the end of this video, I didn't do any velocity training. I grew into my body. I developed slowly. All of a sudden, as I got older and kept pitching and I'm in college, I started throwing harder. I didn't go to like a facility for a velocity program. But unfortunately, that's where the incentive is now. Like if you don't have your maxed out velo heading into college, that's going to affect your recruiting. If you don't have the nasty spin rate slider, that's going to affect your recruiting. And what he's saying here, kind of not super clearly, is that like no one learns how to pitch anymore. Everyone just learns throw it as hard as you can, spin it as hard as you can. And that's why you see across the board so many arms at the amateur level now that have zero command. They have no feel for the strike zone. And it's almost kind of looked like you're born with that or not. It's like, you have to work on it like anything else. It's a skill that you can develop. And so now it's all about, well, he's got really good velo, really high spin rate, but unfortunately, like all these guys are having arm issues. Like they're all having Tommy John surgery. Their arms are just blowing up literally because at the major league level, we're saying you have to spin it and you have to spin it and throw it as hard as you can. And pitching is not valued as much anymore, right? And the same is true on the hitting side. There's no, he's a pure hitter. They could care less if you're a pure hitter. All they care about is if you swing at 100% every single time and run into some home runs. And you can take some walks every once in a while. They don't care if you strike out 200 times. They don't care if you can get the job done in the ninth inning with the runner on third, less than 2 outs. They don't care. They don't think that's important. Right? Jake Mangum's come up and he's just balling out right now. But I can guarantee you, he should have been up a couple years ago based on his numbers. But the analytics guys look at him and his exit velocity is not high enough and he hits too many ground balls and that's not going to play at our level. Even though they don't care about defense either. They're playing idiots out all over the field defensively who don't know how to play their position, especially in the outfield. They just put anyone out there. Let's watch the rest.
I sure as hell didn't do that. I didn't figure it out until college. I matured into my body. I was, I say it all the time. If I came up in today's world, I don't know what would happen. My mechanics were a little different. I was tall, langly, lean, skinny, lean, weird, kind of hadn't hit my maturity. Went to college, didn't get drafted, went to college and kind of grew into myself and all of a sudden started throwing hard. But it wasn't because I did some, program to make me throw harder. So it's hard.
Right. And so, I mean, this video is fantastic because it literally lays it out perfectly. 2016, MLB juices the balls because it wasn't exciting enough. And that opened the floodgates of analytics, essentially. Because now there weren't just like 2 or 3 guys in the lineup that had juice, legitimate juice. There was 9. Because even a guy who was, before 2016 hitting 5, 8, 9, 10 home runs, now he's a 20-plus home run guy. Overnight, 20-plus home run guy because MLB decides to juice the balls. So that allows analytics to come in because now you can bank on the 3 true outcome player much more because the balls are juiced. Guys are going to run into more home runs. That changes the way guys have to pitch because now you can't just attack a guy with fastballs. If you make a mistake, he clips it, it's a home run. So you have to incentivize swing and miss. So now you have all these guys at the high school level training in velocity programs when their body is definitely not ready to do it. They're not strong enough. They're not physical enough. And now you see a skyrocket of arm injuries. And it's only every year it's going up. It's not like this is plateauing. It's every year it's going up, 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 up every year. So, I mean, do we listen to guys who are like, borderline, like who are Hall of Fame caliber players like Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer? I think they're probably both going to get in. They think baseball is headed in the wrong direction. They're talking about this in the dugout, talking about it in the clubhouse. How do we incentivize pitchers to go longer in games, starting pitchers in particular? Because now with the DH, it doesn't matter. And teams use their AAA. They sign a bunch of guys to minor league deals in AAA, and they use basically the AAA guys are like the extra bullpen for the major leagues. They option guys down, bring guys up. Like arms are being abused right now. Right. At the same time, MLB is talking about we care about arms. We care about this. They're basically incentivizing people to just blow their arm up. So we got to figure out what to do. Let me know what you guys think in the comment about that clip. Do you agree with Verlander? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? You think we don't know what we're talking about? We're dinosaurs talking about an old game. Let me know in the comments. Remember, hit the like button, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications so you know when we go live, when our new videos pop. Appreciate you guys putting all the support on the channel and everything like that. We'll be back again tomorrow.